Hi. Just before I begin, I need to make a very important announcement. First, can anyone tell me the name of this event? Okay. The organisers have done a sterling job, but they got the name of the conference wrong. This is not a conference. Conferences are where old people go to swap stories, pat each other on the back, and feel good about themselves. This is not a conference. This is a war council. Okay, so to be clear, I'm not talking about violence, but this is a war council. This, right here, this room is where we have come together to equip each other for the job of ending abortion. That's right, I didn't say our work in the pro-life movement. To heck with that, we're in this to end abortion, amen? And each one of you guys are the leaders of this movement. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Okay, now 3 things that I'll be covering in the next 12 minutes. First, the idea that pro-life is not an adjective, it is a verb. Second, a couple of examples of how the international abortion industry works and what you can do to shut them down. And number 3, biblical wisdom and strategy to empower us to end abortion soon. Okay, so first let's look at something that is absolutely critical. Without this, your group will fade away. Without this, we cannot end abortion. That thing is momentum. Now, here's a quote from that man with the hairstyle that we all love, Donald Trump. He said, very good words, "Momentum is something I learned about a long time ago. You've got to get it, and you've got to keep it going. That goes for me and for my employees. I remember meeting an older man who had been vastly successful and who had had a reversal of fortune. I asked him what had happened, and he put it very simply, 'Donald, I lost my momentum.' I never forgot that and decided I wouldn't let it happen to me." Okay, so now to backtrack a little bit. So in January of this year, I was involved in organising a pro-life conference in New Zealand, where I'm from, and we had Jill Stanek and Brian Kemper come and speak for us. Now, one of the little towns where we had a talk that was going to happen was Dunedin, and no one turned up. No one turned up for the meeting. So that afternoon, we just decided to hang out at Starbucks. Sure enough, I found myself alone in Starbucks with Jill Stanek, which is a very dangerous situation to be in. And at one point in the conversation, she says, "You should marry my daughter." And so, on April 21st, I came over and met my new wife. And on July the 1st, I got engaged to her, and on July the 15th, I got married to her. And we have a little preborn baby who is due April 15th. So the moral of the story is, the fact that, anyway. Let me keep going here. Okay, so a few things to take away from that, I guess. Don't give up. It can be depressing, but just keep running more events, okay? Keep up the pressure. Keep wearing your pro-life t-shirts. This is one I bought 4 years ago when this is what got me into the pro-life movement, actually, a t-shirt. You never know if today might be the day that someone sees your shirt and their life is saved. Keep talking about abortion. Every day I think about abortion. I work late into the night working on my own projects and helping pro-lifers all around the world. I dream about abortion. I wake up thinking about abortion. You've heard the saying, America will not end abortion until America sees abortion. Well, I say, America will not end abortion until America is sick to death of abortion. I will not go away. We will not go away. I will not shut up about this because as a former fetus, I have a duty to speak up for my preborn brothers and sisters. because they sure as heck can't speak for themselves, and the abortion industry thrives on the knowledge that the people they are advocating to be killed cannot yell out, "Don't kill me, I'm alive." Now, the majority of people are not like you. You are the opinion makers, opinion setters. You are the new progressives. That's right. Those who support a woman's right to choose are old-fashioned, out of touch with science and reality. They are conservatives. They want to keep the status quo. You're here because you're leading a cultural shift in our society's abhorrent, complacent perspective on abortion. We are the new progressives. Okay, so we're here to end abortion around the world, right? So let me just cover a couple of aspects of the abortion industry and the way it operates on an international level. Now, believe it or not, abortion is not just an American problem. In New Zealand, 50 babies are torn apart while they're inside their mothers and then thrown into the trash. 3,500 is the number in the US every day. And every day, 120,000 babies are killed in this barbaric fashion around the world. Okay, so there's this organisation, I guarantee you've never heard about it, but I guarantee that this organisation and organisations like it are the people behind the scenes getting their pro-abortion policies in. The name of the organisation is the Asian Forum of Parliamentarians on Population and Development. Bit of a mouthful. They are a population control organisation formed in 1981. Now, the New Zealand Parliamentarians on Population and Development Committee is a subcommittee of that. And here's part of their mission statement. To contribute to the establishment of lasting world peace. Isn't that awesome? And then you read on a little bit further. To educate, motivate and involve members of Parliament in population, reproductive health and family planning programs. Now here's the thing, nobody knows about this group. And yet representatives from the New Zealand Parliament are members of this organisation and they're influencing the policy that's affecting... Okay, so this is an Asian group, so it won't necessarily be directly affecting the US, for instance, but there's groups like this which are having this influence on an international level. In fact, at one of the meetings, the Chinese Minister of Population Control met with New Zealand representatives and leaders of the Family Planning Association of New Zealand. Now, the Family Planning Association is the equivalent of Planned Parenthood. In fact, both the FPA and Planned Parenthood are affiliates, member organisations of the IPPF, the International Planned Parenthood Federation. Now, of course, this guy, the Chinese Minister of Population Control, he heads up China's horrific one-child policy, which, as you know, leads to these forced abortions and sterilisations that we're seeing in China. Now, anyway, so this fella, he says to the leaders of the Family Planning Association, we want to copy your reproductive health system that you have in New Zealand back in China. Now, I don't know what to make of that somewhat bizarre comment, but it's things like this that we can pick up on that may be useful further down the track. Now, I'd just like to see a show of hands. Who's heard of an organisation, a little organisation called Planned Parenthood? Okay. And guess what? A woman named Jill Greer, who worked as the president of the Family Planning Association in New Zealand, a tiny country with 4 million people, she moved on and now she's one of the top leaders of the IPPF. See, at some point, these big shot pro-child killing leaders were unimportant and unknown, and that's where we need to get them. Jill is now at the top of the IPPF. She's a lot harder to shut down now. The point I'm trying to get to is this. What you do in your little town will have international repercussions, some of which you'll hear about, many of which you won't. The key thing is you guys have a lot of power. Each one of you has a lot of power to do damage to the abortion industry. They are scared of you. Babies dying anywhere is terrible and we can't spread ourselves too thin. But here are a couple of ways that each of us can work to end abortion outside of our own country. We can offer what support we can to fledgling groups overseas, like Youth Defence. Now, this doesn't have to be in the form of money. It can be help with web design, graphic design, literature. You could give them a phone call or an email to encourage them. You could fly over and volunteer for a couple of weeks. Or you could get involved with exposing pro-abortion groups at all different levels. And that last point, exposing people and organisations who've got the blood of preborn babies on their hands, I would like to talk to anyone who'd be interested in helping me with that. We could catch up later and discuss that. It's something quite close to my heart. Okay, the Bible. It's a very good book. Probably where we should have begun, but anyway. Let's look at where Jesus left off his ministry. What were his final words to his disciples? He said, "All authority has been given to me in heaven and on earth. Go therefore and make disciples of all the nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit, teaching them to observe all the things that I have commanded you. And lo, I am with you always, even to the end of the age." All things. Jesus had heralded this bizarre new concept that was going to shake the whole world. A revolutionary gospel that taught, love your neighbour as yourself, and greater love has no man than this, than that he should lay his life down for his brother. And then, of course, in James, we see the definition of religion, helping the widows and orphans. Now, women who have been abandoned, pushed into a corner where they feel like abortion is the only way out, aren't they widows? And the children abandoned by their parents who pay these child killers, which we give the name abortionists, to rip the child out and kill it, aren't those orphans? Aren't those the least of these? St. Paul grasped these words of Jesus. In 1 Corinthians 9, Paul explains his strategy for sharing the gospel. He said, "Though I am free from all men, I have made myself a servant to all, that I might win the more." He goes on, "To the Jews I became as a Jew, that I might win the Jews. To those under the law, I became as one under the law," etc. Sorry? Oh. I don't know if... Oh, okay, sorry. To the weak I became as weak, that I might win the weak. I have become all things to all men, that I might by some means save some. Okay, so he goes on. But these are such important words. Let's be clear. Jesus and Paul were talking primarily about sharing the gospel of Jesus Christ. But you know, as we've already found, part and parcel with the gospel is this respect for all human life, in particular, the poor, the orphans, the preborn babies who are killed every single day. So there are powerful pointers that we can take away from these words for our work in ending abortion. St. Paul also said in his letter to the Colossians, "Be wise in the way you act towards outsiders. Make the most of every opportunity. Let your conversation be always full of grace, seasoned with salt, so that you may know how to answer everyone." So in there we see grace. We really must be motivated by genuine love and compassion for these women. And then humility. Now this is something I'm actually quite proud of in my own life. I've achieved a great deal of humility. Okay, so the deal is, this is not a cause that you work in to get respect from men. Paul wrote to his young friend Timothy, "I give you this charge, preach the word, be prepared in season and out of season, correct, rebuke, and encourage with great patience and careful instruction." So let's apply this to speaking about abortion. We're going to speak against this injustice when it's hip and cool, and we're going to speak against this injustice when we'll be hated for it, which is quite a bit of the time. So, just about wrapping up. A couple of things. You must be prepared to be wronged. You must be prepared to let the other person win for the sake of the cause. Disagreements between yourself and other pro-lifers will come up, but do your best to be gracious. And then, of course, Paul said, speaking of Jesus, "I must decrease, he must increase." Okay, so I said earlier that America will not stop abortion until America is sick to death of abortion. But here's something. America will not stop abortion until America starts talking about abortion. We need to keep talking about abortion, even when we're sick of it, and you will become sick of it. You want to run away from it because it's so awful. But if we keep presenting our neighbours, our friends, our church, our society with the horrific truth of what abortion is, what will happen is that those people will be thinking and talking about abortion. So as long as abortion is not being talked about, abortion will continue. Every time we open our mouths on behalf of our preborn brothers and sisters, we win. Because Because here's the thing, they want to remain ignorant. They don't want to think about abortion. But once we get a discussion started, that's our platform to build on to bring the truth of abortion under the spotlight. So, every wise pro-life initiative will be successful. Okay, my good friend Joshua Edmonds can tell you about that, I think. And it doesn't matter if we appear to lose. Every time we do this, it is successful. Now, if I was able to get Cecile Richards, president of Planned Parenthood, up here on the stage, get a televised debate, I would love that. She would quite possibly tear me apart, and I'd look like an idiot. And people around America would be laughing and saying, haha, pro-lifer can't stand up for his views. And look, I mean, I'm not that smart. It would probably happen. But I would love it. It would be awesome because, I don't know, a couple of million people around the country would be talking and thinking about abortion. It'd be broadcast into their living rooms. They don't want to think about abortion, but this is our way of getting them to talk about it. Right, I think that's just about me. We will not rest until abortion has become unthinkable worldwide. That's me.